Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the AEW Dynamite post-show review, this time for November 5th, 2025, where I go over everything that happened on AEW Dynamite from the matches to the promos to the segments, all that good stuff I go over on the AEW Dynamite post-show review or any post-show review that I do, whether it be the weekly shows or a pay-per-view slash PLE. Whatever the case may be, that is what I do on these post shows if you are new to the channel. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. I just jumped straight into the self promo, didn't I? Um, but make sure you guys subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page if you are able to. It is $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I'm going to be having a lot more content being posted on the Ko-Fi page. So if you are able to, it would be greatly appreciated if you can subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. There's also a donate button on the Ko-Fi page as well. But I would much rather you guys subscribe for the $5 and get any exclusive content that I post rather than just donate for no reason. Um, I'm not even sure why that's an option, but if you want to, feel free to. But I much prefer if you were to invest because I know times are hard at the moment for a lot of people. I would much rather like somebody pay the $5 to get all the exclusive content that I post on the Ko-Fi page. So make sure you guys go check out the Ko-Fi page. Check out the Kayfabe Central website as well. That's where I post all my coverage posts, articles, written predictions, all that good stuff is on the Kayfabe Central website. So go check that out. There's also a group and community section over on the Kayfabe Central website. So if that is something that interests you, you can go ahead and ask me any wrestling related questions, whether it be personal opinions of mine, anything news related in wrestling, or anything along those lines that are wrestling related. You can go ahead and ask me over there on the Kayfabe Central website. Speaking of places where you can talk about wrestling, we also have the Kayfabe Central Discord server. If you want a place to chat up about wrestling and build a little bit of a community, the Kayfabe Central Discord server is the place to go. Not the most active Discord server, but if, like I said, if you guys want to build a community over there in the Discord server, invite some friends that like wrestling as well. We also have a non-wrestling channel as well. So if there's times you want to talk to people about non-wrestling related things, feel free to. Um, it's not even strict either. Like if you talk about something non-wrestling in the wrestling thing, then like I'm not gonna do anything. I don't really care. Um, it's just, organization. I'm very detail oriented and organization like when it comes to things like that. So but it doesn't really make a difference. So go ahead and check out the K Potential Discord server if that is something that interests you. I was gonna be live on TikTok for this post show, like I've done in the past, but Wednesday nights on TikTok live are pretty dead. And I t tested out the TikTok live just now, and nothing really. It was a pretty dead chat, so I just decided to end the live. Um, Rather than having a whole bunch of people join the live that don't understand what I'm doing and don't n watch wrestling at all. So, much rather just do this. It's much easier, much simpler. And yeah, so I'm gonna get straight into AEW Dynamite for November 5th. They were at the Boeing Center. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I heard Excalibur um during Dynamite pronounce it, and I was like, that's how you pronounce it, but I'm still not sure how to pronounce it because I don't know if I misheard him. Um, but it was in Houston, Texas tonight. So I on my preview for the TikTok that I did earlier, like I do for all the weekly shows, go follow the TikTok as well if you are interested in that. Um, I was harsh on some things, specifically the main event that had happened. Um, but that ended up being something that actually wasn't too bad. Um, this was a very promo heavy episode of Dynamite. There wasn't a whole lot of action. There were some things that I wasn't aware of, like a little bit of spoiler alert. Megan Bayne was set to go one-on-one with Queen Aminata in the Blood and Guts Advantage match. However, last week on Dynamite, she suffered a neck injury. And I guess the report that I was reading for the match card wasn't quite updated, or I don't know when this news came out. But she hurt her neck last week during Dynamite, and she is out of Blood and Guts, and obviously wasn't able to compete on this episode of Dynamite, and was replaced by Mina Shirakawa, who will be in Blood and Guts as well. So prayers out to Queen Aminata. Hope she gets a speedy recovery, and is back in the ring soon. So I will admit I missed the first I think 15 minutes of the show because the show started, and as soon as the show started, my Wi-Fi decided to go out, and I had to go fix that. And I completely missed the opening segment. Obviously, I went back, looked at what happened, and what happened was Tony Schiavone came out. I think to announce the national championship, which I'm going to be getting into because we did get that official announcement on this episode of Dynamite. But Samoa Joe came out and was pretty much intimidating Tony Schiavone. And so, like I said, I didn't actually see this. I just read what happened. So I'm just going off what I read and what I wrote down, based off things I saw on like Twitter or whatever. Um, Hangman Adam Page then came out because Samoa Joe looked like he was going to beat up Tony Schiavone. Hangman Adam Page came out. It ultimately led to the announcement that the trios match between Hangman Adam Page, Hook, Eddie Kingston taking on the Ops is now going to be for the trios championships. Um, so yeah, that was that. Like I said, I can't speak too much on like the delivery of the promos or how it actually went down, like play by play, because I completely missed this, so I apologize for that. However, I did see the opening match of the night. That's when my Wi-Fi decided to come back on. It was Claudio Castagnoli defeating Orange Cassidy. Um, if you're not aware how these advantage matches are working, there is a set of three matches both on the men's and women's side. Um, it's a best of three series, so uh, I'm trying to explain this as best as I can. I thought I was going to be able to. Um, it's a best of three series, pretty much between some of the participants in the Blood and Guts match. So two of the men's matches happened on this episode, um, and then there is one on Collision as well. So Claudio Castagnoli defeats Orange Cassidy. Fun match. Like I said on the preview for on TikTok, I love both of these guys. They're both very entertaining. Um, Orange Cassidy is just so good. He's so great. He's hilarious. The whole spots where he was just putting his hands in his pockets, the classic Orange Cassidy, despite getting the shit beat out of him, was absolutely hilarious. But in the end, it wasn't enough. Claudio Castagnoli put Orange Cassidy down. Backstage, Mark Briscoe had a interview with Renee Paquette, and Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis were there as well. Mark Briscoe wants a rematch for the TNT Championship against Kyle Fletcher. Um, Don Callis initially said no, but Kyle Fletcher said, you know what? I might be down for it because Mark Briscoe proposed a no disqualification match at Full Gear for the TNT Championship. And Kyle Fletcher was with the idea. Don Callis told Mark Briscoe that if he loses at Full Gear, he has to join the Don Callis family. Um, and Mark Briscoe accepted. Now, I'm glad that they didn't just do the rematch to do the rematch, because that wouldn't particularly be interesting. It's more interesting now with the stipulation that if Mark Briscoe loses, he has to leave the conglomeration and join the Don Callis family, or Kyle Fletcher retains the TNT Championship. So that's a very interesting thing there, and I'm very curious as to how that's going to play out. I haven't fully landed on a prediction on that match just yet because it just got announced today. But usually the week of we usually do the predictions podcast for any upcoming pay-per-views. So we will obviously be doing a predictions not pay-per-view. Imagine the Kayfabe Central podcast was on pay-per-view. My goodness. I wouldn't be filming in this room, I'll tell you that. Um but usually we do the podcast predictions, the predictions podcast for the pay-per-views, I should say. So yeah, we will get to that when the time comes. 2 weeks from Saturday is Full Gear, which is crazy, man. Like this year is going by so fast, and I hate it. Um, yeah, I hate it. I hate how fast time is going. I swear it was literally just February, March, and I was just at the Elimination Chamber. Um, yeah, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Um, but that was that segment. We had another Don Callis backstage segment where he was once again trying to get the Young Bucks to join the Don Callis family. Obviously, the Young Bucks are very hesitant because of their history with Don Callis. And they were like, I don't know. Don Callis brought the entire family in and was like, we'll welcome you in with open arms. We'll give you everything you need. You'll be so successful because you'll have a family. Um, and the Bucks said they need more time. Don Callis brought in Kazuchika Okada, and that's kind of where the Young Bucks were like, "Oh, okay, we need to think about it." Um, I definitely see the face turn from the Young Bucks coming very soon. I think that's gonna happen. Um, and I think it'll be cool because the Young Bucks are starting to get cheered, and towards like the past few weeks and months of their heel run where they were just getting trolled by production. The fans booed them, but it was one of those things where they love to hate them. And they actually love the Young Bucks. Everybody loves the Young Bucks. They are fantastic. They are one of the best tag teams ever, in my opinion. I said one of. So don't give me heat for it. Um, but they're so incredibly talented. So yeah, I everybody loves them, and I think that they're gonna be turning babyface very soon. It's gonna definitely take some time. It's definitely gonna be a little bit of a slow burn until they fully turn babyface, but you can definitely see the seeds being planted there. We had a AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinal. That is a mouthful. Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron defeated Mercedes Moné and Athena. Now, I did not expect this result. And what's even crazier about this is I didn't think that they were going to go with Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale as a tag team in this tournament to begin with. Um, and let alone them beat Mercedes Moné and Athena. Athena was the one that took the pin, of course. Um, but yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting, and I'm curious if um, they're gonna have Nightingale and Harley Cameron go all the way. I'd personally prefer to see the Sisters of Sin go all the way, because that is who they're facing in the next round. But after the match, or sorry, I should say during the match, Billy Starks tried to interfere but got stopped by Chris Statlander. That allowed Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale to capitalize because Athena was distracted. Um, and Yeah, oh, that was all. That was all that happened during that match. I'm thinking of the match that happened on later that I'm going to get into. That's when a lot of things happened. But yeah, that was all that happened. Billy Starks tried to interfere, and Chris Statlander put it to a stop. Um, we then had Tony Schiavone announcing the AEW National Championship. He said it will be up for grabs. They made the announcement that it will be up for grabs in a Casino Gauntlet match at Full Gear 2 weeks from Saturday. Um, he then announced the first two people that are going to be in that match, that being Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin from the Hurt Syndicate. Um, so they will be in the match, and that is pretty interesting. But and Tony Schiavone asked MVP because Hurt Syndicate came out, asked MVP, how is this gonna work? And MVP was like, it's business. We're all about business. Um, and these two men know that. The demand that came out, Ricochet and the GOA. And Ricochet said he is going to be in that Casino Gauntlet match and he is going to win the AEW National Championship and he is going to make sure Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin do not win uh, any championships. Now, I will say, as much as I like what Ricochet is doing, and I think this is the best work he has done, I think we need to move on from this Demand and Hurt Syndicate thing. It's getting a little bit stale, and I feel like you've already done what you can do with this feud, and I think like they're gonna go at it in the Casino Gauntlet match, like Bobby and Shelton and Ricochet. But I think after that, it just needs to come to a stop. I don't have any interest in seeing those teams go toe to toe again in any capacity. I think they should just move on and do something a lot better. Um, but yeah, Ricochet is also in there, so that is a very curious. I that is a thing that I'm very curious about. I'm trying to say, because I don't know how I feel about them adding another championship. And I get that this is going to be a championship that is defended across like New Japan Pro Wrestling and a couple other promotions that I can't remember, but they mentioned. Um, I don't know, man. I don't think that they need this many titles. I agreed with the AEW Women's Tag Team titles because you have a very deep roster of women, and you need to even that out a little bit. You need to spread that out. You need to give other people opportunities as well. So I like the idea of the Women's Tag Team titles. I don't know if I like the idea of the National Championship, and um there were a lot of times on this show where not a lot of times, there was a couple times MVP um accidentally called it the International Championship. And I believe Tony Schiavone, or it might have been Excalibur, one of the two accidentally called it the International Championship as well. It sounds too much like the International Championship, and that's not my problem with it, but like it's just I don't think it's gonna be a good idea. I don't think it's gonna add anything. Um yeah, I don't think that they need this many titles. In my opinion, like championships in wrestling should be very prestigious, and when you win a championship, that solidifies you as, you're the top guy of or woman of that division, and you are unstoppable. But when you have like multiple championships, it just makes it so much easier, and like it doesn't feel competitive. It just feels like literally anybody can win a championship. And I don't feel like that's how wrestling should work. Wrestling should be this person won a championship because they worked their ass off for it. Or if it's a heel, this person won a championship because they sneaked their way through it. But now they are at the top of the division. But when you have so many different titles, and I understand that they have a very deep roster, but I honestly don't think that they need another championship. Um, but yeah, obviously there's a very deep history with the national championship. So yeah, like people like Dusty Rhodes have held this title. And they explained all of that as well. But I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think AEW needs it. Um, but then backstage we had a very weird like segment, and all I wrote here was Jack Perry leaves $1 for the Young Bucks because that's all I got from this backstage segment. Um, I guess it's just Jack Perry and Luchasaurus making fun of the Young Bucks still. Um, yeah, I'm cur I don't even want to say I'm curious. I don't know where this is going anymore. I don't know if this is going to lead to another match between Jack Perry and Luchasaurus, or Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks. Um, I don't know because I do think that the Young Bucks are on a verge of a babyface turn, and I don't know how that's gonna work if Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks are still feuding. It could end up being a case where they do another match between Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks, and um Jurassic Express wins, or maybe the Young Bucks win, but the Young Bucks offer their hands to Jurassic Express after the match. They shake hands, maybe even hug it out, and they squash the beef completely. Um, The Don Callis family doesn't like that side of the Young Bucks. That officially triggers the babyface turn from the Young Bucks, and so that's very well a route that they can go down. Um, and if that's the route they go down, they put on a banger match. Sure, why not? Um, because like I said, it's going to be a slow burn until that full on babyface turn. Because it's the Young Bucks. They spent so long as heels and so long just being great pieces of shit. So, um, it's gonna be a slow burn until like people start forgiving them. Obviously in kayfabe, but until people start forgiving them, and they gotta work their way back to that. We had another Blood and Guts advantage match. Darby Allin defeated Daniel Garcia by submission using the Scorpion Deathlock. Um, After the match, Pac attacked Darby Allin, who also got involved during the match, but it wasn't enough to distract Darby Allin because Allin still won. Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta all came out. They brawled, but in the end, the conglomeration chased off the Death Riders. Um, I'm gonna say this about the match itself between Darby Allin and Daniel Garcia, and just as a whole about this whole Death Riders Darby Allin thing. I don't know if I like the disintegration of the Death Riders being they just keep giving up and quitting. I don't think that's the right route to go down with the Death Riders. When you had this group dominating for like what well over a year, for so long you had this group dominating, and now their disintegration is they just quit all the time. Um, I don't really like that idea. I can't really get behind that because it just doesn't make sense for the Death Riders. Like obviously we had John Moxley tapping at All In to Hangman Adam Page. Why wouldn't you? You were getting hung with a chain over the rope, so that makes sense to tap. We obviously had Darby Allin tapping out John Moxley at Wrestle Dream with the Scorpion Deathlock, um, which is, let's be honest, it's a sharpshooter. It's a sharpshooter. The Scorpion Deathlock sharpshooter. It's the same exact thing. Um, it's just a fancier name thrown onto the sharpshooter. But Darby Allin wins with the sharpshooter against Daniel Garcia the same way he beat John Moxley at Wrestle Dream. Um, yeah, I don't like the idea of the Death Riders disintegration just being them quitting consistently. We had a FTR promo though. They came out and they called out Brodito for a gentleman's handshake. However, Stokely Hathaway locked Brodito in their own locker room, and Brodito's banging on the door. Well, Stokely Hathaway is watching a show. I can't remember what show he said he was watching. But Renee Paquette even broke character when she asked Stokely Hathaway what Brodito was doing. And Stokely was like, "Oh yeah, I've been trying to get them out for so long. They won't come out. I can't get them out." While he's watching a show, he says on HBO Max. Um, so FTR then goes to ringside where Bandito's family is and makes fun of Bandito's grandma and Bandito's brother. Bandito's brother then jumps over the barricade. FTR starts attacking him. As soon as they get him in the ring, Brody King backstage again punches through the door, almost punches a hole through Stokely Hathaway's head. He was just an inch off from completely clocking Stokely Hathaway. Um, and it was hilarious. You just see Brody King's fist flying through that door, and Stokely Hathaway just sprints it off. Stokely Hathaway is so good. He's fantastic. I love Stokely Hathaway and everything he's doing. So yeah, that was pretty funny. That allowed Brodito to run out and make the save right before FTR did that pile driver on Bandito's brother. So that is obviously setting up that rivalry and that match at Full Gear for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I can honestly see this being, and this is a little bit of an early prediction that may end up changing in 2 weeks' time, but I can see this being where FTR wins the tag titles. I think that they probably should have a couple months ago. But this could very well be at Full Gear where they win the tag team titles from Brodito. We then went on to another Blood and Guts advantage match, the final one of the night. It was Megan Bayne defeating Mina Shirakawa. Um, During the match, not Mina Shirakawa, Marina Shafir, too many M's. Marina Shafir attacked Tony Storm, who was on commentary. By the way, before we get into the finish of this match and all that stuff, I I'm not a fan of the timeless gimmick. We know that. We've gotten that out the way. However, some of the comments that Tony Storm was making on commentary would just popped me completely because she randomly said to Excalibur, she's like, Excalibur, why don't you do commentary on one of my orgies one day? Um, the most Tony Storm thing you will ever hear. But yeah, I found her commentary absolutely hilarious. So, um, just wanted to shout that out. But Marina Shafir did attack her while on commentary during the match. That distracted Mina Shirakawa and allowed Megan Bayne to take advantage. I don't know what happened towards the end. I don't know if Mina Shirakawa just didn't get up properly or if that was supposed to happen. But it seemed like Megan Bayne was kind of struggling to like pull her all the way up for her finisher, but eventually got her up and hit the finisher and Megan Bayne wins. Um, After the match, all the women from Blood and Guts, Chris Statlander came out and fought with Mercedes Moné, Willow Nightingale came out, Harley Cameron, Sky Blue, the Sisters of Sin, all of them came out. They all brawled. Um, I like this. I like this a lot because this is what we need. This is what Blood and Guts is supposed to be. All these people just fighting and brawling and beating the absolute ever hell out of each other. That is what we needed for the past few weeks. So I am very glad that we got this brawl and that we're really pushing this now. I feel like they should have been pushing this from a few weeks ago, way more, and I think there would have been a lot more hype for Blood and Guts. It's still going to be a lot of fun, but I think there would have been a lot more hype for Blood and Guts had they started building this weeks prior and not just announcing it and then doing nothing with it for a few weeks. But I'm really glad that we got this, brawl between all of them tonight. Um, we then went into the main event. Now, we got into the main event at like 9:50, and we know that AEW Dynamite likes to go overtime. But man, I was very nervous, and I feel like this is me a lot of the time when I watch Dynamite because they like to go overtime a lot. Um, but when I saw it was 9:50, I'm like, oh my, when is this show gonna end? Um, but they managed to um pull off the match perfectly fine. It was a pretty solid match. The Ops ended up retaining against Hangman Adam Page, Hook, and Eddie Kingston. Now, before this match, I was like, I wonder if Hangman, Eddie, and Hook are going to win the trios titles here, and that puts a little bit of doubt in the mind of the Ops. However, as we were getting into the match, as they were making their entrances, I thought to myself a little bit, and I was like, Hangman, Hook, and Eddie Kingston doesn't make sense to be the ops for the trios titles. I don't know why that thought came to mind of Hangman, Hook, and Eddie winning the trios titles. It definitely could have been possible. It really could have been possible. But it just didn't make sense. I was like, no, it's gonna be the ops retaining. Um, we had a couple cool spots here though. The ops really looked strong. Um, Powerhouse Hobbs, uh, World's Strongest slammed Hangman Adam Page through a table off the stage. That took him out of the equation. Hook was dealing with a back injury during the match. That left Eddie Kingston alone to deal with the three members of the Ops and um, eventually tapped out. Was it Eddie Kingston that tapped out? Um, It might have been Hook, actually. I can't remember which one of them tapped out. I think it was Hook, but Eddie Kingston got thrown away. Hook tried to. make the save, but eventually got put down as well, of course. So um, that was that. After the match, we got a brawl between everybody in the Blood and Guts match. Roderick Strong came out. Um, or am I mixing that up? No, 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 yeah. Roderick Strong came out. John Moxley came out. Kyle O'Reilly came out. And yeah. Um, no, I lied. I completely lied. I mixed that up with what I already talked about. I already mentioned that. So I apologize. Nothing happened after this match. I don't know why I thought something happened after this match, but nothing happened after. Um, yeah, no, there was no brawl after this because this has nothing to do with blood and guts. I apologize, guys. I can be very slow sometimes. I can be very slow sometimes. No, nothing happened after this match. Um, the Ops retained, and that was the end of the show. Hangman on Page was beat up. Hook was hurt. Eddie Kingston also got hurt. Obviously in kayfabe. And the Ops look strong here, which they really needed to. I feel like despite them being trios champions, they needed this win here to look strong, and that's exactly what they did. So, yeah, I like this. This was a good episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed this episode of Dynamite. I found myself very invested throughout the entire show, which, if you've been watching this podcast long enough, I don't have a very long attention span. When something gets stale on my TV when it comes to wrestling, I start tuning out a little bit and I'm not a whole lot interested. That was not the case for AEW Dynamite tonight. They kept me, invested throughout the entire 2 hours or the 2 hours and 10 minutes or whatever it was. Um, but yeah, I really like this episode of AEW Dynamite. Um, I think they did a really good job at building blood and guts, and that's exactly what they need going into a show like that. I honestly kind of wish that like Blood and Guts was a pay-per-view itself. Um, that way we could have gotten like such bigger moments and longer matches for these Blood and Guts matches. Um, but I'm perfectly okay with it. They're still gonna Dynamite likes to go overtime like I mentioned anyway, so it should still be really good as well. And they could always do like a 3 hour special for Blood and Guts as well. Um, which, if they've done 3 hour specials, they've done 4 hour specials as well. So they definitely could end up doing something like that also. Um, they haven't announced that's what they're doing as of yet, because they have done a lot of those recently, like the 3 hour, 2.5 hour specials. So I don't know if they're going to do that because they've done it a lot recently. But yeah, that was AEW Dynamite for November 5th, 2025. Really good episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed it. But as always, I want to know what you guys thought as well. I always love hearing you guys' opinions. You guys are just as big a part of the show as I am. So make sure you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Obviously, these are only available on YouTube. All the other podcasts, though, are available on Spotify. So go ahead and check out the Kayfabe Central Spotify as well. And any podcast over there, you can let me know your thoughts there. Like I mentioned at the start, Discord server, Kayfabe Central website, all that good stuff. Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. All that, go check that out. It's all in the description below. All the links are down there. So make sure you guys go check all that stuff out, and show your support. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok, Instagram as well. I never plug my Instagram, but I post a whole bunch of I post all the new stuff on my Instagram. I don't really post any like personalized content over there. It's just news, updates, and all that good stuff over on the Kayfabe Central Instagram. So if that is something you are interested in, then go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram as well. Um, but that is going to do it for this AEW Dynamite post-show review. Once again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I will be back on Friday for the Friday Night SmackDown post-show review. So until then, take it easy, guys. Have a great night. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.